Can you see this? Is this clear? Screen is clear? Okay. So let me summarize the last class. This is the second phase of about the Le Corbusier and his book, which is toward an architecture. So I choose the important sentences, quotes, especially. I think personally I like this one. Explaining the difference between construction and design, and also I like the this one too. Explaining about the aim of architecture, fundamental thing of architecture. He thought harmony is most important thing, and also the last one is his manifesto about architecture, and also the most important quote in his book, Architectural Revolution. So that means in the early 20th centuries, so he claimed architecture should have an important role in order to change the society and change the city, and also should make a new life for people. It's one of the potential covers of towards an architecture. Actually, Le Corbusier, his own sketch. So he considered the title of a book as Architecture or Revolution instead of Towards an Architecture. I think Architectural Revolution is also a good title too. Okay, so today we're gonna see the project. So I'm not before preparing this class. I don't know I have no interest about Le Corbusier. I'm gonna show you more than about 10 projects of him today, but I only visit only one. Which is located in US. Even though I went to Europe, I didn't go to Le Corbusier's project because it's too far from the main cities. For example, Villa Savoye and Longshan is on the countryside. I was, the lazy, and also I had no interest about his work. But after doing some research about him, I think I know he's a very important person, but he's very interesting person too. Of course he's a genius, but he has I think he's different from other the legendary architects in early 20th century, such as Mies van der Rohe and Frank Lloyd Wright, I think. Anyway, how many buildings did you visit? How many buildings of Le Corbusier you know? Okay, good. All of them? You visit none of them? Okay. One? What is that? Is it famous one? Savoye? Longshan? The early stage of his. Okay. Villa La Roche. Yeah, La Roche. Okay. I'm not gonna show that project. Okay. Okay. So this is the timeline of his project. So I think his project can be categorized four. I think some critics make 5 categories about his project, but to me, I think 4 probably more appropriate. So this time is the time between the first and second phase. I don't know how to pronounce it. Let me just pronounce this one by English. Villa shop. So this is one of the project in the first phase, and house for Ozenpan, and also some urban design, and Villa Savoia. This is kind of second phase, and then the Unité d'Habitation and Chandigarh is kind of a third, and fourth is Carpenter Center in Longshan and Film Miniatures. I'm gonna explain the difference among the phase in architectural design. So this is in this building, Villa Shop, is one of the first villas he designed in his birthplace, his hometown. That is the La Chaux de Fonds in Switzerland. So he did a tour around Europe, early 20th century, 1907 to 11. During that time, he worked for Peter Behrens, who is German architect. He's kind of one of the important person before the establishment of modernism in architecture. He's a very influential person to not only Le Corbusier, but also Mies van der Rohe, and also some other modern architects. So he worked for him for about 1 year, and then he came back. So before working, his work different from his project is different from the very early works. So this is one of his early works, not very early works, but I think it's third or fourth realized work. So he's very influenced by the Peter Behrens. It's not now this looks like a little bit kind of classic style, but at this time it's kind of radical because it's not that classic. I mean, it's classic. It has some influence by classic architecture. Classic means here it's not like Baroque and very ornamentary architecture, or like how to say the Renaissance style architecture. It's more like the Italian style in 16th and 17th centuries. So very symmetrical. Yeah. And if you look at the project of Peter Behrens, so you can see the similarity between Peter's work and Le Corbusier's work too. And also at this time he didn't change his name. So his name as an architect is Charles, I don't know how to pronounce it, French pronunciation, but Charles Eduardo Jenneret by English pronunciation. So I think he started to think about his own manifesto in architecture, but that manifesto wasn't applied in this building yet. So this is current situation. And then he moved to, the time years between the first and second buildings is 10 years, 10 years. So actually, after working in his hometown, he didn't have many projects. So he wants to have some changes. I think that's one of the reasons he moved to Paris. But in Paris also he didn't have many projects because he was young and he wasn't actually native French. He can speak French fluently. So he was trying to consolidate his own idea about architecture. So he invented the domino system, that, and also many urban ideas, urban visions at this time between 1910 to 1920 at the time. And then he met some artists in Paris. One of the artists he met was this guy, M.A.D. Ozenfant. how can I pronounce this one? I don't know. I mean, he's a cubism artist. He's a painter. So Le Corbusier and this guy became the very good friend and then collaborator too. So he asked Le Corbusier to run the painting. You know, Le Corbusier already he has a good skill about painting, but he changed the kind of style of painting to cubism. So actually, he's kind of teacher of painting for Le Corbusier. And then he also changed his name to Le Corbusier too. And then this guy and Le Corbusier and some other friends, they made Esprit Nouveau together in 1920 and I think 1922. And at that time, he also published his own book, Towards on Architecture. So actually, you know, the time he published the Towards on Architecture, he didn't have many projects. So this one is actually the very first project. He's one of the this project is the first project he used his idea about architecture. So idea about architecture, idea about design between this project and this project is totally different. He changed a lot. You know, we can see this is a very clear example about his important idea of a design, which is regulating line. So you can see the proportion, his idea about the proportion clearly here. And also he also used we can see some clues about early clues about his five elements about architecture, which he used in Villa Savoye later, much later. This is plan. The first, this is garage. That's the room for, you know, housekeeper, you know, the driver, I think. And this is the living place. This is atelier, studio, design studio, a painting studio. I mean, now it looks very normal. I mean, it's not very special. But I mean, if you're considering the time, this one is very striking because it has any columns inside. I think the width of this building is at least 80 meters, I guess. I mean, I cannot see I mean, there is a dimension, but it's not clear. So I don't know it's not exact, but at least 6 to 8 meters. But in the early 20th centuries, I mean, already at that time, there is a long span too, but that is used for the factory or, you know, important buildings, not for the house. But he used the reinforced concrete system to make the long span, to make the free plan inside. That is very important. I mean, except for the loop part, I mean, this one is very. He already set up his idea about for the future project he did later. So he made some skylight here. He made a skylight here. I mean, it looks like an industrial building, but not actually. So I mean, I like this place. I like it's double high space, and he used the same language of window for the ceiling. But this is actually that is infiltrate the sunlight from the skylight here. I don't know which material he used. I think it's a foggy glass or something like that. Yeah, that is built, more than 100 years before, but I still good. I think it's very progressive design at that time. And also, I mean, it's just too radical, so I don't think people could accept this design. But the client of this building is very close friend of Le Corbusier, so he accepted. But after the completion of this building, their friendship broke up. They had very bad relationship. So this artist, client of this building, they complain about Le Corbusier, blaming. He painted a very he made a painting to complaining about Le Corbusier, he's kind of devil, his thing. So, I mean, that building has a great role to make the Le Corbusier more like the famous in public, but actually client hates him. That's the kind of a paradoxical situation. So this is from the street, this is the current situation. I think it has to be preserved, I guess. It's urban design. He did 1925. I think 1922, 1920, he made the first proposal about the urban design, which is the city for 3 million people, and then he developed the new one. So site is Paris. I think this is Seine River, and that is a boulevard. So initially there was a war, you know what I mean, kind of to protect the city from the enemy, and then they destroyed that to destroy that, and they made a wide, road. So they named that a boulevard. So this is the center of the Paris, but it's very it's not good condition for living. It's a slum, old slum. Sanitation was bad, and everything is, the condition of downtown in Paris was really bad. So he proposed a kind of new building to make the city better. So it's an old fabric. This is a new one. So ironically, at that time, actually, I think a long time ago, I think a few hundred years ago, the people living in the downtown was kind of a noble person, right? Especially, definitely king, and there are people and rich guys. But in the early 20th centuries, the poor people actually labor. They are living in the downtown of Paris. So he said, the downtown of city is very important. So the kind of elite people should live in the city. So this one is a new. The plan is for the elite people. So bourgeoisie. So not the workers, not kind of a general level of general normal hierarchy of normal social, how to say, the normal people. But after, I think, about 10 years, he made a new plan. It's almost, in terms of form, it's almost same as this one, but the user of the city was changed. At that time, he said, this one is for the rich guys. But after 10 years, he said he became socialist. That is, this city should be for the workers of normal people. He got some donation from the industrialist, rich industrialist, to develop this one. That's why he said that the city should be for the rich people and elite people, not rich people. He didn't say richness or rich, but higher level of social in society. The Seine River, and so he had. There are two types of people. One is the skyscraper, the residential skyscraper. Second is the mid-height building. So he used the same typology for Barcelona in 1932. Le Corbusier and some architects, they proposed a new plan about the Barcelona. Barcelona, this is old, the city of Barcelona, and then I forgot name, the Catalonian architect, Catalonian engineer. He actually designed the new city in mid-19th century, I think 1850. So this is famous. Everyone knows. I think the urban fabric of Barcelona is great. It's beautiful. The design, actually, urban design. And then the population. They had more population, so they need a new town too. So I think the municipality of the city. He asked Le Corbusier and some people in Siam, the International Congress of Modern Architecture, to design the new town. So they made a design proposal. So this is old city. So this is the city we know, and that's the new city. So actually, the size of block it became much bigger. So you can see clearly the contrast between the old fabric and the new one. So he used actually exactly almost same the housing typology of this one he used for Paris. So it's like the apartment, right? Apartment in a plaza. I mean, so it's like in Seoul you have many examples about this one. And the famous Villa Savoye. Yeah. So he became famous in Europe, and so he got commission from rich family, rich couple actually. The Mr. Savoye. He asked him to design the very innovative innovative villa. So during the design period of this villa, he set up the fundamental elements of architectural design. So he made 5 important things, five points, 5 elements in architecture. Do you know that? The 5. I don't know how to translate that to English. 5 important elements in design. The first one is a pilotis. The second one is free plan. Third one is a free facade. Fourth is the horizontal window. Fifth one is rooftop garden. Yeah. So he used all the 5 elements to Villa Savoye. But before that application, he made his theory. So it's kind of comparative diagram between the old typology of housing and the new type of housing. So yeah, pre-plan in the ground level. So because all the structure is very rationally distributed, so you can do whatever you want. You can make your own wall in your convenience or your will. So there is actually the structural wall is not needed, so the facade can be free, right? So the architect they can do design the facade for their own design, the philosophy. So this is the old housing. The structure is too strict, so there is not enough freedom to do something. So he made his own manifestations, design. So this is Villa Savoye. It's not clear. Sorry for the plans. It's not very clear. But you know that everyone knows this one. I think you saw this plan at least 2 or 3 times during the school days, right? So I'm not going to explain this one. Yeah, construction. The reason I put these photos here, I always curious about the material of this one. What is this? Is it reinforced concrete or what is this? Because, the older structure is in the column, so this shouldn't be the reinforced concrete, right? So I was curious whether that is wood or what is that. So now I find the answer. So there's a brick. So it's block, it's kind of CM concrete unit. Concrete block unit, and then he put some concrete mortar and white painted interior. But I can find some irony of this building because that one 5 elements in architecture. This is for the urban house, right? It's not for the country house. But he used this idea for the urban. Not urban, but a rural context. So actually, it's not very contextual. It's like kind of it's very distinguished. The big contrast between the nature and this building, it makes this building more progressive. But I don't know. I think he used this building to promote himself. The reason is I mean, this photo. I mean, he used the media very well to his own promotion, and for example, Esprit Nouveau. So he became kind of a rock star in architecture field, not only in architecture field, but design field, art field, by that magazine. And I mean, I'm curious why this fish is here. So I think it's very manipulated, right? He made the scene, right? He made the scene. So I was speculate. I made some speculation. So this, to me, I mean, maybe at that time people might think that is too, how to say, too dry or too clean, not very humanistic. So that's why he put some, this kind of organic, the living here. This is my assumption. So he made a manipulated photo. And I already show you this letter. Actually, the client complained a lot about the construction because it makes a lot of leaks from the rain, water leaks against rain. Actually, flat roof is not that good, and also in the rooftop garden, it's not good for the how to say, the waterproofs. It's very difficult to make the perfect waterproof. But this is already 100 years ago. I think it's not possible to make that. So as far as I know, I think that the client he didn't use this building very well, very often. So maybe not many years, a few years, and then he just made this building abandoned for long times, at least 10, 20, or 30 years after World War II. And then, yeah, people think this is very important building for the modern architecture, so they they revived this building for each other. And he got a lot of the commission of villas and small house and apartment, and then suddenly, in the political reason, he didn't get many commission from 1935 to 1945 because there was a World War II and also Great Depression. Economy wasn't that good, so he designed a car for the competition about the economic vehicle, the commissioned by French car maker SIA. Yeah. So this is his. I mean, that's interesting. I mean, he always inspired by industrial product, like the ships and cars and airplanes and industrial buildings and grain storage. And then he designed car. But to me, it looks like, yeah, the kind of opposite version of a new Beetle. So it's not very aesthetically, not good aesthetics. And the famous Unité d'Habitation. After World War II, Paris and also many areas in France were destroyed by German army. So they need urban regeneration. So the Charles de Gaulle, the former president of France, he asked Le Corbusier to design the new apartment for the people. So, after World War II, the many people was disappeared. So the housings are needed, and so in the short time they had to make the residential buildings. And then at that time he made a kind of modular system. He's famous modular man. He was also think about the modular system in architecture too. The modular system is kind of the easiest way to create the product in the factory. Also, the relationship between human body and the space. Also, he always emphasized on the harmony in architecture. The harmony means is kind of a relationship between nature the people, human beings. So yeah. Yeah, there is quote. I mean, I already talked about this. Architects, a matter of harmonies. It is a pure creation of spirit. So regulating line 2. So to him, this kind of lines and the modules, and that is the harmony, and also that is the kind of axis to connect between the people and the mother nature. Yeah, so he invented, I don't know if he invented or not, but these diagrams are very famous. So, I mean, we are still using these kind of diagrams, so making some modules, and then create the kind of a different variations, create the variation by using the same modules. I think this is facade system. Yes. I mean, I like this model. I mean, I like this photo, especially this one, right? It's very powerful. So this is a double height space of living room. That is a living area. So. And this corridor is here, I think. Is it here? Yeah, this one is corridor. Yeah. So every 2 floors, there were called corridors. You know this building well, right? You guys know? No? Huh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, this building is, I did go to this building, but from photo, I mean, I know this building very superficially before the research of him. I thought that is a great building, and this is a kind of a masterpiece in modern architecture. But, when I do more research about this building, I think this one, the Unité d'Habitation, I think it is great because it has many ideas. It has many ideas which influence to the, the architect's radar, especially the diagrams and module. I mean, this one is great actually. It's kind of he made the diagrams about the organization. I think this one is administration of apartment. I don't know what is a boutique. Is it boutique? Is it public? We are still using this one, but a tool of drawing is different. We are using the Illustrator now, but it's same. It's same thing. And also, in terms of modules, this drawing is by Le Corbusier. So that is the kitchen. It's a person kitchen. So it's the cooking equipments and kitchen equipments, how to arrange this one in the limited area. And also this diagram is also, I didn't understand clearly, but it looks like, if you fold this one, it's like that. Maybe not, sorry. The plans, and also relationship between the interior space and, after World War II, it's not the financial, budget, construction budget is limited, but the construction time should be really urgent. Construction should be urgently prepared. So the kind of a rational thought, rational thinking about making plan is very important. That's why he thought about the modular system. Yeah, as these sections, this is one unit, and another unit is the living room, and I think the rooms. This is corridor. So another corridor is here. And so every 2 floors, there are corridors. That's very interesting organization. But some people said this corridor is too dark. So actually, the condition of the interior is not that good. He said. Someone said, but I didn't go, so I don't know. But the facade is very beautiful. It's exposed concrete and mixed with some colors. Still beautiful. the living room, I think it's preserved. You can see the kind of a guideline here. So, I mean, he has the same idea as his one of the first buildings for the double height space and right. Right is very important to him because, you know, in the early 20th century, the condition of the city was not good, as I told you before, right? It's very dark and smelly and not good condition, dirty. So he said the sanitary idea is very important. The light is important. The ventilation is important. That's why he preferred to use the big window to get more light. So he used the same idea here. Yeah. So that's why he made this kind of double height space for the living room. Chandigarh he's the first urban design, which is realized. He made many, I think at least 5 to 10 urban design proposal, but the Chandigarh is the only one realized. Do you know where the Chandigarh is? It's located in the northern part of India. It's capital city of Punjab and Haryana. Yeah, but the plan, actually Albert Meyer, he's an American architect. He designed first. He designed, and his colleague, his partner architect, Matthew Novich, he designed together. Actually, Albert Meyer, he designed many cities in India. And also he designed Chandigarh with this guy, and then he was dead by airplane accident. So he quit the job, this one. So the Le Corbusier was succeeded to design this city. So this is the first proposal by Albert Meyer, the American architect. Yeah. It's kind of basically it has a grid system, but the overall form is more like organic. So it's the combination between the grid and the organic shapes. So actually the greens and nature is infiltrate into the not strict grid system here. It's very interesting thing. So this is Le Corbusier's side. It's basically same. So I think he kind of copied this. I mean, the overall shape is different, but basically idea is the same. The grid system and the nature is infiltrate. The green areas infiltrate into the city. Yeah. So some people criticized this one, and that one because he basically he used the same idea. I think it's almost current situation. So many sectors. This is the one. From the first and the fifth, sixth is relatively small and it's getting bigger. It's really, really big. It's a huge block. So it's 800 meters by, it's like, almost 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer. So it's more than 1 kilometer. It's a huge block. So here, estimate number of a population was 3,000 to 20,000 each sector. So it's big. So it's one sector has it's one park here. I mean, it looks like it reminds you of Korean urban planning. For the new town. I'm living in Pangyo. It's almost same the planning in the middle. I mean, in the middle there is the linear park and an apartment. It's not an apartment, but it's basically the same idea. Yes. So the comparative diagram between other grids. This is New York. Is Chandigarh. Is one sector. One sector is here. It's huge, right? This is a grid in New York. It's much bigger. It's not comparable. It's huge. And it's Tokyo, and Barcelona, and the Back Bay in Boston. So that is not. I don't know how that works. It's big, right? It's like one city in the one block. I'm sure the transportation is really bad, I guess. But the problem is Chandigarh, the population of Chandigarh is dramatically increased. So the condition of the city is getting worse and worse. It's totally different from his initial idea of Le Corbusier. So the initial expectation of a population was 150,000, but now it's like the 800,000. It's much. Let's just see the project here. He did a lot of project in Chandigarh. So his open hand sculpture things. He realized that it's a Palace of Assembly. He realized that, and the Palace of Justice. He also realized that. This one building looks similar. I mean, the facade is similar with the Unité d'Habitation, but he also realized the art gallery. And then, this is done. I mean, this is done of Chandigarh, end of Chandigarh. But when I look at the satellite photo about Chandigarh, I found it interesting. I mean, it's all grid, right? It's a regular grid. And then I found some strange thing here. Can you see this one? I mean, the orientation of this block is different from others. It has a 45 difference from others. Can you see this? So I was curious about that block, and then I found, it's very different condition, right? This is designed by Le Corbusier, and that is something different. The size of house, size of buildings are different. It's much smaller. And then I found that it's a traditional, it's oldest town. It already existed. I mean, but if you look at this one, it has also, it's square outside, but it has a very organically connected alleyways. It's very similar with Le Corbusier's initial ideas like this, right? That was interesting. Am I the only person who is interested in this? Okay, the famous Roshan. Who went? I mean, is there anyone went there? No? Okay, I want to go. Maybe next year. Yeah. Next year I can show you students the real photo. Anyway. I think he designed the UN headquarters in the 1940 to 45. So he became the internationally renowned. And when he walked through the beach in New Jersey, I think New Jersey or New York, and he found what is that? It's not clam. 소라가 영어로 뭐지? shellfish. Okay. Yeah, and then he was very motivated. He was inspired by this one. And then he kind of a philosophy of design was changed. I think he thought that was kind of primitive form of nature. But his architectural form is very, it's artificial, right? It's like very articulated, right? It's not articulated, manipulated thing. So somehow he changed something. He's the language of architecture. So, I mean, if you look at the plan here, I don't know, there is no logic to be like this. Right? There is some logic, but not. In elevation, there is a logic, but it's master plan. So I think he intentionally drew this like that. It's more like justified his organic shape. It's very well fit with surrounding natures, I think, and also topography, elevation. And also there is no logic to be like this. It looks like a very intuitive and random. But there is a logic, a geometric logic, but it looks random. Yeah, construction, opening ceremony, I think. The priest. Yeah. This is famous, I'm not going to show you many things. Carpenter Center, that is the only building I really visit because that is located in Boston. So it's very close from the school I went. I think it's just 20 minutes by walking. But I wasn't. As I told you, I wasn't interested in the Le Corbusier. So I just I saw this building many times, but I didn't take many photos. And also, I have some photos, but really bad. For example, like this, really bad, right? I just randomly took a picture. I wasn't serious. I just took. But now I found this building is super interesting because this building, the reason to me, when I saw this building first time, that building looks, to me, it looked very strange. What is this? I don't know. I couldn't understand why. I didn't understand. But now, theoretically, the theoretical perspective of design, this building is great because that is kind of a result of a combination between his early idea about architecture and his the early and later idea, idea of architecture. So the idea of lamp is one of his early idea, and also this kind of box-shaped buildings, very purism style shape is from the idea of his from his early idea, and so this part is is similar to his early project, but this part is more like this kind of curvy shape that is resemble the later works. So to me, I think that is interesting because that's kind of he was trying to combine the two ideas for this building. So this one is the only building he designed in the U.S. by himself. He designed the UN headquarters, but with American architects and also who is that guy? Oscar Niemeyer, the Brazilian architect, together. But that was the only one, and also that is one of the project he remained before his death. So that's built 1965. So he died 1963. Le Corbusier, he was dead in 1965. So it's complete 2 years before his death. So it's a very last project, actually. And then Firmini, this one is also one of the last project he designed. He designed this building 1963 to 1965, 2 years. So, yeah, I think it's also a similar idea with Longchamp, more like the organic shape. But I think it's more scientific, a result of a scientific research, I guess. He kind of calculate the movement of sunlight to make the more interesting the lighting effect inside, like this. Let me just explain that by this photo. So this one is south face. This is the east face. Is the west face. So that one, this one is facing the east face. So east facade. Sun in the early time. That means in the morning. Sun is here, this side. So, but the intensity of sunlight is not that strong. So even though interior space has direct sunlight from the east, but it is fine because it's very mild. But the problem is the sun, when sun is here, this location is getting higher and the sunlight, intensity of sunlight is stronger. So he made this one. This is my logic. This is my observation. Yeah, I thought that's why he made. I was curious why he made these kind of shapes here. I think it's this function as the kind of sun shading. So these holes, the small holes, it doesn't make direct sunlight. And this one is fine. It's Lighting Canon. This is fine. Even though it has a direct sunlight from the south, but it's fine because it can make the kind of effect of sunlight effect like the Pantheon, right? So it's only one thing to get a very strong sunlight here. Yeah. So to me, actually, initially, to me, the form of this building looks like very random, and not random, intuitively generated, but actually it's very logical. I think this is beautiful building. So, yes, so let's go to his building later.